Welcome to episode 76 of Marathon Talk, powered by ABBA World Marathon Majors. On this week's show, Deena is in Tokyo for the World Athletics Championships, so we'll have all the news from Tokyo, but we'll also hear about her time in Sydney at last month's TCS Sydney Marathon.
That's right, Martin. And after that, you'll be speaking to Aaron McCammon, a Berlin-based run coach who's going to be talking about this weekend's Berlin Marathon. How exciting.
Berlin coming up already. Had a good chat with Aaron earlier in the week. Anyone running in Berlin, I think you should enjoy that. He's got loads of knowledge about the different areas en route in Berlin and good places to stand and cheer and watch and good places to soak up the atmosphere if you're running. Before we get into the episode this week, for the first time, we're pleased we've got a presenting show sponsor.
Our show this week is brought to you by the Wahoo Kicker Run Smart Treadmill. The Kicker Run offers the freedom and form of outdoor running at home. Its dynamic pacing capability means the treadmill matches your pace automatically with no controls needed, offering you a more natural running experience. And its unmatched connectivity means you can sync up with the Wahoo ecosystem and third-party apps, including the simulation of routes from the Wahoo app, Strava or Zwift. Marathon Talk listeners can get a free Headwind Smart Fan worth $319 or £229 when purchasing a Kicker Run from wahoofitness.com using the code RUNTOUR at checkout.
Right, Deena, you survived the shark swimming of the Great Barrier Reef, and now you're in Tokyo. It's been a busy few weeks.
It has been a busy few weeks with time zone changes, but wow, Sydney put on quite a show. I loved listening to your last episode with Danny Coyle of the Abbott World Marathon Majors. You guys did such a great race recap, and it really was remarkable to see Sydney shine in its first year as an Abbott World Marathon Major.
Your run was pretty good. You said you changed your targets a little leading into the race. You still managed to bowl around in 340. Was it 340?
Yeah,
that's pretty good.
It was 340. I'm super grateful that my body held up to get in that time, but it didn't matter. 340, 540, the experience itself, just being in that city and seeing it come to life all weekend long. There was activations, and it's like that at all the majors, but it was just a really special event to be a part of. And it's not just a check off your list one and done. I want to go back and maybe be a little fitter next time around, but really take advantage of traveling outside of Sydney. We went to Cairns and snorkeled in the Great Barrier Reef, and that was incredible.
Did you see any did you see any?
Yeah. It was more sensational. My first dive down and experiencing the reef, I popped up and the first words out of my mouth were, "This is more spectacular than anything I imagined." It was really, really worth it.
I'm glad you enjoyed Sydney. Why don't we talk about Tokyo? How's your first few days out there been? What's it been like to be at the World Championships?
Well, this is marathon talk, and the marathons have already taken place. So what better time to get together to talk about this, to see Paris Jepchirchir take the win from Tigist Assefa in just both races, men's and women's marathons, really just provided these epic battles where they are sprinting to the finish on the track. It just seemed like you couldn't script these races any better. And to see the beef between Paris Jepchirchir and Tigist Assefa in just last year in the London Marathon, Jepchirchir outkicked Assefa to win, and then in London this year it was Assefa who broke Jepchirchir's women's only world record. So these girls have beef against each other, and you didn't know which way it was going to go this morning or yesterday morning.
And you were there, right? But I was watching it on TV, and good call by the organisers to finish in the stadium. I think it's been maybe a decade since that call's been made, but it does liven it up, those watching, and also, for the athletes, because they know they've got this incredible finish. When Liz, my wife, raced Melbourne in the Commonwealth Games back in 2006, it was insane. There was like 90,000 people in the MCG and it was going wild. It was brilliant. So it made...
You really have to summon your track speed also for that finish. It's almost like it was prophetic to finish on the track when you saw them get into their track speed to try to pull off a win or a podium finish. It's sensational.
I saw Chepchirchir, like, kind of, if you were looking and you were observing, which I was, I thought, well, I'm going to see if I get this right. And she actually had like a kind of a cycling face. You know, she was like putting it all on. You thought she was gone. You thought she was broken, but she wasn't, right? And there was a moment where I thought she was going to get out the back because Assefa just glides. Like, it was the difference, wasn't it, between, you know, Assefa, who's a former 800-meter runner. She knows track. She looks like a track runner. And then grinding it out was Chepchirchir, right? Who was grimacing and working. And it was almost, I felt like she wanted it more in the last 100 because she grappled her way past, and then Assefa kind of, you know, she was straight-faced, gave nothing away, but she'd lost it by then. Great. It was a great finish. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah, and then the another storyline in that race was Uruguay's Julia Paternon, who won their nation's first ever world medal, which was so exciting. And the look on her face, the shock and sensation and the joy, it was just, you could see it in her, in every cell of her body was just like this big celebration. And so it was like an emotional finish to watch because you could just see all that work going into it. She is also a former Arkansas Razorback. So obviously like sentimental favorite.
Yeah, she lived in the UK since she was two years old. So I'm not sure who's taking the claim here. But wasn't it great? Because she crossed the line and for a moment, she thought she still had another lap. And there was an element of confusion in her face. She was like, have I finished? Have I not? Have I got more to go? And she was panicking that, like, do I need to keep going? And it was a while before it clicked in. And I don't think she also knew that she'd finished on the podium because, you know, she was kind of in the top 12 or 15 at about the kind of 21, 25K mark. And of course, you're going to tell us a little bit about the challenging conditions in Tokyo. But when you are racing a marathon and the conditions are like they are or were in Tokyo, it throws this curveball into racing, this colossal curveball. And it means athletes often do not respond into form, meaning that athletes like Julia Paternon can get a surprise medal at the World Championships in what I think was only her second marathon, although she has won the English schools which is the kind of English schools championships, I guess, in 2017 and 2018, and did represent Great Britain at the 2019 European under 23 champs, where she finished 6th in the 10,000 meters. So yeah, it's great when you see a surprise medal like that.
Yeah, and we witness a surprise medal, but even herself to be so pleasantly surprised with her hard work and her diligence in what was really oppressive conditions. And that race wouldn't have unfolded like it did if it wasn't for Susanna Sullivan of the United States, who really, her only option to be on the podium was to run this aggressive race and lead for a majority of that race before the main pack swallowed her up. But I loved that she stayed diligent and still ended up with a 4th place finish. So excited for Susanna, and that really gutsy way of running to just lead the best in the world and try to run away with it and not be reckless. I think she was running within herself. It was just the heat. It's hard to run alone and run that style with the conditions that they were faced.
And it's difficult way to run because, you know, at some point, I think she said this in a post-race interview, you know, I knew at some point they were going to come. And like hunted, isn't it? You know, athletes of caliber, and they are steadier because they're trying to respect the conditions. She's sticking to her race plan, and she's found herself isolated. So there's this race, right, of two halves, and she's found herself isolated. She gets caught, and sometimes you can crumble at that point and just get spat right out of the back of a big pack. Of course, that didn't happen, and she ended up running really, really well. No Brits in the field, you know. I mean, we'll come on to the men's as well. No British male finishers. Emil Kairis drops out. No British female finishers. Come on.
Yeah, but Emil actually ran a really great race. He was tucked into that pack. I almost didn't even know he was there until the halfway point, because he was so well tucked in, just not doing any of the work, just kind of gliding along.
It's toll, though,
and
didn't
I
it?
saw that in the men's race.
Really took its toll.
Yeah.
The conditions were so bad. You know, he said that's the hottest, most humid, hardest conditions he's ever run in. He said, I gave it my best. I did everything I could, and I couldn't do it.
Hopefully these athletes never need to one-up what they had to run through these last couple of days. The women's race was a lot more humid, 80 degrees and humid. And the men's race was slightly cooler, I think like 78 degrees. And the humidity had broken, but the sun was out. So I'm not sure which race conditions were worse, but they really were a challenge out there. And definitely your competition is racing the best in the world, but you also got to beat the heat. And it was a tough one. On the flip side of that, what they did have was an amazing crowd supporting them. Tokyo did not have a chance to really shine in the Olympics in 2021 when they hosted the stadium. Their brand new national stadium was empty, with the exception of volunteers being there. They really have been shining in this competition. Tokyo and Japan in general has been able to show their sporting spirit, to be out on the course 5 and 6 people deep to cheer on the athletes that were running in the marathon and competing in the race walk. And then the stadium has been almost full, 60,000 person capacity each evening. Oh. So just really shining colors, showing their true colors.
And you know, we got excited with the women's race, thinking that was a thrilling finish. If only we'd known what was going to happen in the men's race. Like you said, similar conditions and a very similar finish. Like athletes arriving in the stadium where it's literally coming down to the last 300 meters.
Right, but it started at 7:30 in the morning with Vincent Ngedic from Kenya false starting in the marathon. I was actually really scared because, you know, the rule with the false start is that you're out. Yeah. But you saw the officials kind of like talking back and forth on the infield, and they did let him continue to run. He didn't fare well. He was 3rd in Tokyo this year. He was the 2nd in Berlin a couple of years ago, and he just couldn't hang on. You saw him grabbing his side and pulling over to the side of the road. And I saw that much more today in the men's race, maybe because they were running a little more aggressively, that men were in that lead pack and then they dropped out. They didn't fade off the back of that pack. So something just told them they were done and they had no more. And so it was just a very abrupt stop and pulling over to the side of the road. But to see the podium come into the stadium together, all three runners that were gonna place on that podium come in to the stadium together, you knew you were just to see a fantastic last 400 meters.
And the winner, Alphonse Simbu, was one of only 2 athletes representing Tanzania, and he's the first athlete from Tanzania to win a global title. How cool's that? I mean, he really had to earn it too, didn't he? Because like the last 100 was probably one of the most tightest marathon finishes I have ever seen. I think they were both credited with the same time, 2:09:48. I think it was maybe 0.03 of a second that separated them, closer than the women's 100 meters.
It was the closest world championship finish in the marathon, which thank goodness that that it was. I can't imagine it being much closer coming down to a photo finish. So false start in the beginning of the race, a photo finish in the end of the race. And Petros of Germany actually looked like with 50 meters to go that he was going to run away with it. But Simbu just found something else, some like miracle spark of energy in his legs and was able to grind one last time. It was really a remarkable finish. It was just a roar that came from the streets, from the stadiums, from restaurants and bars, because that finish was unlike anything that the marathon has seen.
And you know, when you see an exciting finish like that, the German Petros was like, there was a time when a few meters in a marathon, like particularly in the last 400 meters, 5 meters is a long way, isn't it? Relatively speaking. But imagine what Simbu must have been feeling, thinking, I think I can claw it. And then in that moment, when you come shoulder to shoulder, and Petros was responding, it's not like sometimes what you see in a marathon is there's no response, you know, and if you've got a little bit of gas in the legs at the end and you can give it, the other athlete often has just ticked out the miles and they can't shift the intensity that late into the race. But both of these boys were nailing it and absolutely nailing it. I mean, Petros hit the deck hard after the finish line. You know, that interestingly, I think this is important, like, it generated some really good media coverage too for the marathon at Global Event because it was so exciting, you know, and that's only a positive thing. It's like, here's the most watched marathon finish ever on Instagram because it's close, you know, and it's exciting and it's what people kind of want to see. I mean, actually, I'd not heard of either athlete before, right? Now, I know that Simbu ran in Paris, but, you know,
and he was second. I think he was second in Boston this spring.
But winning the world title would not be something labeled him to go. In fact, you know, looking down through the top results, you're looking down through them. They're different. Often, you know, they are some different names. There's some different names starting to emerge. So yeah, I thought it was exciting race. Disappointing, of course.
Yeah. And Elani from Italy wrapped up the podium there from Italy. And I happened to be standing with Stefano Baldini, the 2004 gold medalist from Italy. So he was very jazzed and excited. And I'm just going to continue to name drop because I shared a taxi with Lasse Viren yesterday. And I got to see 2008 gold medalist in the marathon, Konstantina Dita, today, spend some time with her. So it has really been to see past medalists just here, just completely engaged and fired up and still in it has just been really fun and intoxicating. The spirit here has been unmatched to any world championships
it's like
I've been to before.
Getting the band back together, Deena, isn't it? Come on. But that's good. It shows, doesn't it show with marathon that the things that you do, regardless of level, when you're an athlete, connect you to that event and that place. So you're heading back, you know, years later, Konstantina Dita's there, you know, Baldini, I mean, even Lasse Viren, the great Finnish, you know, endurance legend. These are lifetime connections with marathon running and lifetime friendships. And I'm sure that's the same when people did Sydney recently, or they'll do Berlin, they'll meet people and they'll think, actually, you know, we both did the same race together that year. What a show.
Really, really special. And so much that, you know, we can talk about duking it out on the streets of Chicago, like elbowing each other for space at the start of a race. But then, do you remember that meal we had in London where we walked over the Tower Bridge on that gorgeous night and Konstantina said, I do remember that. I couldn't believe you were eating tiramisu the night before the race. So just having these fun things. And that was 20 something years ago. Just really, really fun to have those memories. And really, I think the entire marathon community is like that. Like you can go and you could be shooting for a personal best in a race, but you also remember the experience you shared with fellow runners and your family if they're traveling with you. It's the whole experience, and there really is lifelong memories that come with that, regardless of how fast or slow you're running.
So you've been away a lot lately. You're in Australia recently, you're now over in Tokyo, in Japan. How long are you there for? What have you got left to do? When's your K-pop debut? What's going on?
Yeah, I do have some karaoke to do before I leave. I did some sumo wrestling this afternoon, but I will be heading back home in just a couple of days' time to get ready to head over to Chicago for the Chicago Marathon. So I'll be watching Berlin from home, but looking forward to more marathon majors this fall.
Yeah, and of course it is Berlin. The BMW Berlin Marathon is coming up. We wanted to speak to someone from the city to talk to us about the marathon and the Berlin running scene and much more. So I caught up with Aaron right now. It's the BMW Berlin Marathon coming up on September the 21st. And so on this week's show, I wanted a bit of an insider's scoop on what it's like to run in Berlin. So I thought we'd catch up with Aaron McCammon. He's a Berlin-based running influencer, coach, community builder who's become a familiar face in the city. I think he's lived there since 2014 or so, but he'll tell me again in a minute. He's originally from the UK. He's the founder of the Fresh Patterns Collective, a movement that blends running with creativity and social connection. He regularly leads sessions encouraging people of all backgrounds to find joy in running and in movement. Sounds like my cup of tea. Welcome to the show, Aaron.
Thank you. What an intro.
Right. So, what takes you to Berlin? What do you do in Berlin now? Before we get into marathon and running stuff, what's life in Berlin like for you?
Generally at the moment, I'm working as a coach, a full-time coach. So I lead group classes, whether it's HIIT, strength, or high rock sessions, and I also do a lot of running coaching. So where I lead people to become better runners, to enjoy running, and also, as you mentioned before, have my own community here.
You've run Berlin. Berlin's coming up on September the 21st. Mm-hmm. How'd it go to be running in your home city?
It was really nice. That was my third Berlin Marathon, and it was the 50th anniversary, so it was quite a big occasion. And it was my first one since 2019, I think. So it had a lot of emotion coming up to it. I had a lot of excitement as well. And it was a very big occasion because not only for myself, for my community, the Fresh Patterns Collective, we had our biggest amount of people who were there to be there at that moment and to enjoy the kind of run and celebration of the run. The weather was perfect. Everything started out really good. I kind of planned to go sub-3 was in the back of my head, but I didn't have the best training block. So my A goal was sub-3. If it didn't work, my B goal was just to try and enjoy it and just to go through with it. So about halfway, maybe just over halfway through the run, I realized I wasn't going to reach my A goal. So I was like, let me just hold back, ease up, and just try to enjoy it, enjoy the experiences, enjoy the peoples, enjoy running through the streets, because the city really livens up.
Yeah. So I'm less familiar with Berlin and with the Berlin course, right? I think I said in the pre-chat, it's 2003 since I was last in Berlin for the race. So it's some going. Mm-hmm. What's it like? So you said, maybe, I focused on enjoying the run. Mm-hmm. Now I know in London, for example, there's the banging spots and I know exactly where they are. And I'm like, if I'm running, I'm thinking, I can feel the heat of a space coming. I'm getting excited because I know what's around the corner, or where there's people going to be, or where you might see friends or others running. So I haven't a clue in Berlin, whereas you're in the heartbeat of all that.
Yes.
So what does enjoying it look like?
I think enjoying it means, for one, relaxing, and two is maybe looking around and seeing the people who are there to support you and to push you through. Because of course the route is also a very scenic route, as it takes you to many different points of the city. So it starts right in the middle of the city, then it goes round
to the east, I think, to Kreuzberg. And then again, you're seeing all of these elements, these different types of people, these different types of buildings, these different feelings that you can all get in these race. And I feel whether it's half marathons or marathons, if we only just go for a time, you're not going to focus on your surroundings. You're just focusing on your one foot going in front of the other. So to enjoy it is to have all of these elements in and to be grateful that you're in the Berlin Marathon.
Yeah, I know, that's fundamental, isn't it? It is. And we don't often hear that word with running, but it's really important. I ran New York in November, and last time I was in New York was like 2005, but I ran it and it was brilliant. My absolute favorite part of the route was when we were running through the Bronx and it was like crazy hip hop music. Absolutely just blew me away. You know, I was like, this feels amazing. Where's the creativity and the music in Berlin? So like you might go, in London, we might go, oh yeah, okay, there's the Big Ben or Tower Bridge or whatever. They're iconic sort of landmarks, but they're not celebrations of community and diversity and connection. You know, they're at what London's started to do really well is bring those points on the route to life more. Where is that in Berlin? Talk me through where the runners going to Berlin are going to find the creative, musical like beat of Berlin.
Okay, so there's a few key points here, I think. You have Kreuzberg. I can't remember which kilometer. Maybe this is around kilometer 12, I think. It goes from Kreuzberg to Neukölln. This is a very creative area. It's a hub for many different types of people, but especially those within the creative industry and those who love to express themselves without being, let's say, judged. You have a really big amount of people there from all different communities. And then if you go a little bit further down the road to an area called Yorkstrasse, there's kilometer 21. Here is usually the first point where you have all of the running communities coming together to see their runners at that first point. So this is where you get...
So it's like round about halfway.
Yes.
Yeah.
So a little over halfway, you'll see like a big corner coming around once you pass the bridge. And there all the communities want to see their runners for the first time, give them that energy, know them that they feel supported, that they're excited to see them again and to like keep them pushing on. And then, which is really amazing for the supporters, from kilometer 21 to 37, it's about a 400 meter walk, if that. So then as soon as you see them,
like across, you kind of go across the course, but the route sort of does a big loop, doesn't it?
Exactly. So then you can go straight to the main cheer point, which is by Bülowstraße, and this is where all the communities come together, and it's a big kind of opening of a road. So this is where the runners who maybe saw their friends in the first half, they know this is the point again where I'm going to be seeing them. Because usually 37, you've already hit the wall. You're dying. You're tired. You want to see the end. Every little bunch.
I need my friends.
But in the distance, once you come up to this road, you can hear screaming. You can hear confetti. You can hear bass. So your friends and your people are there to give you that one last boost for the last 5 kilometers.
Yes.
And this is a point where Berlin really, I think everyone takes this seriously. Whether you're a supporter, whether you're a runner, either one's going to give it their all. Because you know that what that person is going through, and they're going to need that energy going to the end. And as a runner, you want to show your appreciation for those people that are there. So it's a great coming together of different energies on that 37 kilometer part.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the map. I can see just how short it is. And I can imagine this sort of exodus of like, quick, we've got to get up to 37. All the people on the course.
But the good thing about it is that you can just walk across, and you can also make it for the pros as well in time, if you want to.
So when you're watching, you can like leg it up and be there. So you ran it last year, did you say?
Yes.
Last year. Which moment on the course was the absolute sweetest moment for you?
The trip 37.
Absolutely. No, it's no.
There's nothing that compares to it. 37. Kilometer 37 is, as I said, the highest energy part Because even before 37, maybe around 36.5, you have Adidas runners. So I know some people there. It's like, okay, you see some friends there. Then you know, okay, you got your little boost, and then it's coming up again for that part.
Yes. So you specifically have a run community, right?
Yes.
In Berlin that you founded, Fresh Buttons Collective. So you're the founder of that?
Yes, I'm the founder of this.
Why?
Because I wanted to have my own community, and I wanted to have a community that has a strong purpose in not only having a safe space where people can be themselves, but also have a space where people can learn how to run and how to gain skills within running. Because there are many communities who I've been a part of and who I've seen where you just turn up and you just run. But you're not learning anything in between. It's like, let's turn up, let's go for a run, and then that's it. Well, we're not like, hey, let's learn about the A's, let's learn about the B's, let's learn about the C's, let's learn about why we use our arms in a certain way. Let's learn about why our hips can help us gain some speed. Let's learn about momentum. There's so many different elements that you can do this with people, especially if someone's an experienced runner, also if someone's a new runner. So it's kind of like these connections of two different types of experiences coming together and being maybe beginners again and enjoying the process of even improving even more.
What, in your experience of running in Berlin, where's the wider impact of that social kind of connection? What does that look like in reality? I get some knowledge about running, I go for a run. What else?
I think a safe space as well, a space where people can be themselves and find people who else can be themselves as well. Because with the community, we're not trying to be the coolest. We're not trying to just wear all black and look. We got the shades, but we bring some color into it, you know? I don't care if you're going to show up in a shirt with holes in it, or some pants with holes in it, or you wearing a top that your father passed down to you. This is fine, but it's about you and like knowing that you have a space to where you can be yourself and just enjoy that with other people.
Fundamentally, for me, there's a part of being a part of something with other people doing the same thing. And one of the things that I always think's vital is, are you smiling? Are you smiling when you're doing this? Because you should be. Maybe not all the time when you're running, like occasional grimacing is all right, but you should smile. And especially at the end, it should be about the production of smiling, not only on your face, but your ability to make other people smile. Yeah. And if people have fun together, they connect together, they respect each other, they love spending time with each other, they come back. So what's the culture of running in Berlin? How does community fit in it?
I would say in the past years, I think just like London, things have really blown up in terms of the community and the scene in Berlin. So yeah, we're seeing that a lot. And at the moment we are, how can I say we fit in? I say we're still doing our own thing. We're still enjoying moving and doing our interval sessions and everything. But recently we've opened up, let's say, our Sunday runs. And we're using this as a kind of moment to connect different communities and different peoples together. So we have this concept called the local tour, where we run a 10K run and a 8K route, and we do it in different parts of the city. And throughout the past month, we've been inviting anyone to come and join us, come and run with us. And so again, we can connect. And then the last one we had, we invited 5 different communities to come together. And again, we're using this as a kind of moment so people can meet, people can talk. We can, again, meet more like-minded people. And I think this way, the running community in Berlin can be a lot stronger as well. Because then if you're meeting these different peoples and different communities, you're like, okay, I know Midnight Runner's over there. Okay, I know DNA's over there. Like, maybe they can train together and we kind of being the connectors, let's say, in that respect.
Community should be about inclusion and collaboration and getting on. So in Berlin, is there collaboration between communities of different communities of runners? Can you all come together? Because the marathon is sort of epitomizes the coming together of all of that, right? And you said at the beginning, yeah, but at 21 and 37, what you see is this mashup of everyone come together. Is that what it's like in reality? So, you know, are you burning it up, racing it, like tipping to each other, or are you like your genuine mates? Do you know what I mean?
I think to a certain aspect, it is collaboration. For example, today we're going to have a hill session with another community called DNA. So we're doing a collaboration in this sense. But when it comes to the marathon and the big events and moments, I think we can only all collaborate to a certain extent because everyone's got different brand commitments, for example. So this is a kind of line that can't be crossed in certain parts. Of course, when it comes to the cheer zone, this is when people can come together and do moments and do things together. So this Sunday as well, we're hosting a run that me and another coach called Seb created called The Last 10. And our concept on this was to bring everyone together. And this was a perfect date that this can happen because there's no brand commitments on this. So we do this now the week before the marathon. We done this last year and we done it this year before the half marathon. So this is a kind of another example on how we can collaborate and come together. But again,
and is that like, let's all run our last 10 miler before Berlin together?
Exactly.
Is it 10 mile or 10K?
Both. So the 10 miler usually is the last long run in everyone's training plan. And then we added 10K on there as well for those who maybe aren't doing the marathon but still want to be involved in our aspect.
Yeah. And like, what's that experience going to look like? Walk me through it.
It's amazing. It's last year we had the first one, so it was really big. It's again all communities coming together, people who maybe know of each other but never really met in person. And yes, it's usually starts the way we started it before. Is Seb and I will give the introduction, and then we'll get all the leads and captains to introduce themselves and their communities, who'll do a big warm up, and then we have everyone split into their pace groups. So we have pace groups from 2:45 marathon all the way to a 5:30 marathon, I think it is. So then we have a big range of pace groups then for that. And then the plan this year is to meet at the end, go for some donuts, go for some coffee, and have another moment where we can connect and be with the community.
So, we've seen a lot of kind of emergence of community crews in the last decade. Yeah. And I can remember speaking to Charlie Dark probably 12 years ago, and everything he was doing was incredible. Mm-hmm. What is it that you feel it is your thing to say, what is there left to do that you're gonna do?
I think it's to continue with empowering people, empowering the runners to, as we said at the beginning, enjoy the run, enjoy the movement, because we're always going to get faster. You can train hard and get faster, but you want to always enjoy it. You don't want to get to the point where you don't enjoy what you're doing. So if I can keep the members doing this and maybe they're spreading this onto other people, because what I love to see is when members influence their friends and doing more of this is what I want to continue, and hopefully this can spread onto other people.
Yeah, so that's where magic happens, right? So where I'm talking to you and I'm getting like, a little spine tingle about going to run in Berlin. Who's the first person I'm going to try and connect with? You, right? And there's a ripple effect that communities have the potential, and I think it's the ripples where the moments happen. Less so is it the coming together of a relatively small number of the same people time after time after time, right? Because at some point they stop becoming a community and there's a risk, they start becoming a clique unless the ripples keep happening, right? The miles are in the ripple. When that person goes home and their partner or their met friend or their parent or their younger sibling, where have you been? What have you been doing? And they go, running. Blah. And they kind of turn them around, and before you know it, they're with them too.
Yeah.
And that's what I love. And that feels like what you're doing.
Yeah, we see it. We see it all the time, especially when my members come to me. They're like, "Oh, maybe their mum run with them, or their cousin, or their brother, or their."
Yeah. And are you running Berlin this year?
No, unfortunately not. But I'm going to be there supporting the team from the sides. I feel
So you're going to be at 21:37, right?
You're going to see me screaming, pushing all that energy.
How are they going to know you're there?
So we're going to have some big flags. We got the logo here, Fresh Patterns Collective. It's going to be a big, big flag. And if you see me, just be like, Aaron, I see you. I'll be like, I see you too.
Okay, yeah. All right, give you a big wave and shout. Yeah, shout your name. Listen, I could chat for ages. I love what you're doing with making, bringing running to a major European city in an inclusive way, getting more people involved, spreading that ripple. Stay grateful and grounded. Your words, and yeah, been a pleasure to chat, mate.
I think it's been a great honor to be on the show. And thank you for having me.
Right, thanks very much to Aaron for his time, and good luck to his crew as they take on the BMW Berlin Marathon this weekend. That's nearly it from us at Marathon Talk. As we mentioned, the BMW Berlin Marathon takes place at the weekend. Will Sebastian Sorey follow up on his win in London with another win there, or can last year's winner McCammon match his efforts? In the women's race, it's Rosemary Wanjiru, Degitu Azimaro, and Megestawa Fikir who are among the favourites. We'll have a roundup of everything that happens in Berlin for our next show. That will be out in 2 weeks. Plus, we take a look ahead to the Bank of America Chicago Marathon, where we're hoping to have a very special guest join us for that. Right, Deena, what are you up to? Still in Tokyo?
In Tokyo, heading home and going to enjoy some repacking of my bags before heading out to some more Abbott World Marathon major actions. What are you up to?
Well, I'm recovering. I did a triathlon at the weekend, Deena. I can barely walk. So, did the Bournemouth triathlon. My legs are aching. I feel like I've done a marathon. So,
and what do you think that's to? What have you been slacking
nothing.
on?
Just smashed it up.
Which sport have you been slacking on?
Yeah, just like proper smashed
What
it.
was the
distance?
distance?
It was an Olympic distance triathlon, which is a 1,500 meter swim, 40k bike ride, and a 10k at the end. So yeah, I just thought, you know what? I was probably a little bit out of shape going into it, but then just thought, oh well, let's hit it and see, hit it hard. So it's like running a marathon when you haven't quite got marathon legs. You're going to ache at the end. That's partly why we do it, though, right?
I can certainly relate to that one, Martin. So what's next for you now that that's checked off your box? The triathlon, are you getting ready for another one, or are you focusing on something else?
Nope, that's it. I'm going to do some running. I'm going to probably run a 5k with a mate in a few weeks' time. So see if I can get my run legs back. Wherever.
Okay, Martin.
Yeah, wherever your run legs are. Until next time, enjoy the run, wherever it takes you.